If you're looking for love, or you'd like more romance and more spark in your current relationship, you need to know about this key block that so many people get stuck on and hung up on that can really destroy relationships. Keep listening. I'm going to show you how you never have to miss out on love again. So we read a lot of books and fairies where they go and they met and then they got married and they lived happily ever after. And they never talk about incompatibility. Many people are really deluded by movies and fairy stories that you meet your other half, the person who completes you. And then if they're your other half and they complete you, how come you feel incomplete? Well, first of all, you are not a half. You're not a half, you're a whole person. And secondly, you will never meet someone, or at least you're unlikely to meet someone who will complete you, because you're a whole person and you're flawed. And you're going to meet a whole person who's flawed. I'm flawed, you're flawed, we are all flawed. And we have this belief, I'm going to meet someone and they're going to make me, but they're going to fix me, they're going to make me feel so lovable and so amazing. They're going to know what gift about me, they're going to know what to do, because we think our other person is a psychic, is a clairvoyant. They know what to say, they know what to do. They're just Mr. or Mrs. Right, and they're coming along to make everything right. You see, every culture has the story about the princess in the tower and the handsome prince that frees them and saves them. But you know, you're not a princess, and even if you were, your job actually is to save yourself. So what we do is we give up our power. Oh, I'm here. There's a big hole in my life. I'm going to find someone to fill that hole, to meet my needs. And now what you've done is you've given all your power. Hey, you out there, could you turn up and fill a hole in my life and make me better? Or maybe they can, but now you've given them the job. And because we have this fantasy about Mr. Right, Miss Right, who will complete us, we start to feel incompatible. Oh, you're not right for me. We say all these things like you're not on the same page as me. You don't get me. My partner doesn't understand me. We're incompatible. You know, compatible is an interesting concept. It means that we are on the same page about everything, and that simply isn't true. And we hear about love language. I speak the love language of touch, or I speak the love language of gifts, and I found my twin flame. And while I understand all of these ideas, they really are idealizations, and relationships are not perfect. So let's imagine you've just met someone and your belief is they get me, they complete me, they make everything better. You might just be setting yourself up for disappointment. Imagine if you meet someone who really has a belief that all affection should take place behind closed doors. And your belief is, if you love me, you should hold my hand, kiss me, whisper sweet nothings, to show the whole world that you love me. I need declarations of love, statements of love. And your partner doesn't get that. Maybe you need big gifts and big proclamations. I want to make a huge deal. And your partner may not understand that, may not need that, and that's okay, except when you start to think, well, they didn't buy me a gift, they don't love me. They didn't defend me, they don't love me. You know, I was sitting in a bar many years ago with my husband and my husband's colleague and his wife, and this guy, I was leant over and put his hand on my shoe and went, hey, I love your shoes, they're really hot. My husband went, hey, that's my wife, don't you ever touch her shoe, right in front of you. So I didn't know she was your wife. Well, you know now, and you need to leave, because my husband is very protective. He didn't like someone touching my shoe and kind of coming on to me. And my friend went, wow, my husband would never do that. You're so lucky, wow. She said, he never does that. Guys come on to me. One guy put his hand on my knee. He didn't even react. I said, well, they're different. My husband's different because my husband is a bit territorial. I actually quite like it. But I can see someone else who would go, hey, I can fight my own battles. It's not for you to tell that guy to get his hand off my shoe. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was completely harmless. You see, none of this is right or wrong. But she immediately assumed that I had a better husband than her because my husband was very protective. He likes to protect me. I like it too. I know that women would say, hey, don't fight my battles. I've got this. I can handle this. Stop being possessive or jealous. But I didn't see it as that. But this is not right or wrong. What is wrong is we decide, oh, you're not defending me. You're not protecting me. You're not listening to me. You're not hearing me. And one of the classic things that I see is people who say, I came home, I was tired, I said to my boyfriend or my husband, oh my God, what a day I've had. My boss said this, my boss did that, my co-worker. And the guy wanted to say, well, what you should do is this, and you need to do that, and you should say that, and why don't you do that? And they go, oh, you don't understand. I didn't even want you to fix it. I wanted you to listen, because women are very good at going, oh, that's awful. Oh, I hate that. Oh, that's terrible. Often we forget that what makes a partnership really go the distance after sexual chemistry is being your person's best friend. A best friend listens. They go, oh, I hate that for you. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's not fair. But they don't try to fix it. They just listen. So if you believe you've found someone, you've already decided you're going to dismiss them because they don't listen, they keep giving me advice, or they don't give me advice, you have to go back and say to her, hey, we're different, but this is what I need. I need you to do this. I would love you to do that. When I first met my husband, we weren't married then, and it was coming up to Christmas, and he wanted to spend Christmas with my family. We went shopping, and I was buying all this stuff. He's like, wow, you buy really extravagant gifts. I'm like, yeah, we do that. We like this. He said, I don't do that. We just buy little stuff. I buy a book or something for like $10. I'm like, oh, no, I spend like 100 at least, probably more. And I could see that he didn't really understand that. And then we got married, and on his birthday, what do you want? He goes, a book. His birthday is exactly a week before mine, a book. Maybe that's all I want. But for me, I don't want just a book. For my husband, I want flowers or everything wrapped up. And I like a nice deal. It's my birthday. Wake me up with breakfast in bed, bring me some flowers, take me out to lunch, a nice little gift wrapped up with ribbons. And I told him, and he's fine. So every birthday he makes a big deal. For me, if I did that for him, he'd go, I don't want that. I don't even like that. I just want a book, no fuss. In fact, we were staying with friends once. I made a huge deal of his birthday. He said, don't ever do that again. I didn't like that. That's not my need. It's your need. And that's a good place to start. What is your need? If you need your person to be all over you, holding your hand, wrapping their arms around you, draping themselves on you in public, and your person doesn't like that, you got to work it out. You can't go, look, I need you to hold my hand and wrap yourself around me when they don't need it. You need a big deal for birthdays. They don't. You need declarations of love. Tell me you love me. Show me you love me. And they don't do that. It doesn't mean they're wrong for you. It means that you haven't quite grasped that actually feeling loved is your job. I often say to my clients, look, being orgasmic is your job. Coming in and saying, look, I like this person, but they don't know how to touch me. They don't know what to say. They're doing it all wrong. We're incompatible in bed, so it's game over. I have them say, hey, we're great in bed, but all the problems begin when we get up and take a shower, because that's all we've got going. So if you found someone, start from here. Would you like to spend your whole life with this person? Do they have the qualities that you like? Do you have the qualities they like? Yes. That's a great start, but you're going to have a lot of conversations. The biggest arguments in relationships over two things: money and division of chores. Even when these people are millionaires, they still fight about money and chores. And the third thing is how to raise kids. I don't believe in discipline. I do. I don't believe in making kids earn their money. I do. I believe in freedom, and you believe something else. So you've got to start working this out really, really early. One of my clients told me that she had just got married and she bought her husband a puppy. She never asked him if he wanted one. She brought it home. He was so angry because She put them because she wanted it. And I know the other way around, a guy who came in with a puppy and his wife was furious. I don't want a puppy. You've manipulated me now. You've got this gorgeous little thing and now you're going to make me keep it, and I'm always going to resent you for doing that. In fact, she actually did fall in love with this dog, and she doesn't resent. She still tells the story about how he brought it home, and then he went to work, and she had to train it. She had to look at it. She had to walk it, and she was like, wow, I'm so angry. And he was like, why are you angry? I bought you this gorgeous, fluffy, cute little thing. It's like our baby. And so be aware. And the only way you can be on the same page is to have a conversation. Hey, we're together, we're building a relationship. We need to talk about stuff like, I'm tidy, you're messy. I like going out, you don't like going out. I'm very sporty, you're not sporty at all. That doesn't matter. You don't have to like the same things, but you have to understand, and then you have to go, okay, let me tell you some of my needs. I need the words. I'm a person that needs you to go, I love you, and oh, I never say that. I show it with gifts. Well, now you've got to work out what you're going to do. So let's imagine you need all the language of love and your partner doesn't do that, like in Ghost, where the guy says to Demi Moore, when she says, I love you, he says ditto, because he can't say it. Some people can't say it. That's a great shame. Doesn't mean they can't feel it, or over time they might learn to say it. But if you can't tell me you love me, I'm off, you might be missing out on a great person. So work out, what are your needs? I need love, I need words, I need gifts, I need declarations, I need physical expressions of love. And then go back and go, why do I need that? Well, because I never had it when I was a kid. I see my friends at work, and I believe that that's what I need. Work out why you think you have this need, and then decide, hey, can I meet someone this need? Not if could I look at them and go, hey, I love you, you're amazing. Can I buy myself some nice gifts? Can I help my partner meet some of my needs? Because honestly, you're unlikely to find anyone that will meet all of your needs. We have needs, you've got to divide them into three. We've got all these needs. I can meet that third. My partner can meet that third, and the other third, maybe I don't need it. What's the point of having amazing gifts if I'm not happy? What's the point of making my partner do things he doesn't want to do? It makes him unhappy and me happy. So work out very early what your needs are. And then work out what's under your needs. Why do you need it? Are you insecure? Do you feel unlovable? Do you think you're not enough? And decide, hey, it's not their job to fix it, it's mine. Start looking at your needs and decide, I can fix them. And then look at your partner. He's got all these needs, and I can meet some, but not all of them. He may have to meet some himself. He might have to give some up, and that's fine too. And don't decide, I'm sick and he's not here, therefore he's deliberately hurting me. Many, many years ago, my father was very ill. I was about to have surgery, and there was a chance he would die. And I was with someone, not my husband. And I had to call my father and say goodbye to him before the surgery. And the guys just took off, just disappeared, left the house. I made the call, I was like, where is he? And I'm like, wow, what a horrible, mean, hurtful, cold person. He knows I'm making this call, and he's gone. An hour later, he came back. And he said, oh, I left you alone. I knew you were going to cry. And if it was me, I'd hate you being there, seeing me crying. So I left, I went away, and I thought I'd give you a whole hour to have that conversation, get yourself together, compose. Now I'm back, and now we can have a lovely day. And I'm glad he told me that, because I was thinking, you're not right for me. In fact, he wasn't right for me because he didn't even ask me first. So even though he explained and I understood him, he gave me what he thought I needed, and I wanted him to be like me, and he wanted me to be like him, and this is what happens all the time. I would do this and feel this, so you have got to do it too. And they're like, well, I would do this and feel this. I'm going to give you what you want. And that's where it goes wrong. At least I understood that he wasn't cold and mean. He just treated me the way he would have wanted to be treated. And I wanted him to treat me the way I would have wanted to be treated. And that's the disconnect that goes on in relationships all the time. If you love me, you'll do this. If you care, you'll do that. I have so many clients and I was going, well, they clearly don't care because they obviously don't love him because I thought they loved him and then they did this. They don't care. And sometimes you've got to sit down and work out what's going on. I often have with my husband say, hey, I'm just telling myself a story. I'm trying to talk to you. You're glued to your phone. And I could now say, you don't care about me, you're not listening. And my husband would go, I'm really sorry, I want to listen, but actually I've got this terrible problem at work. This email's I've just been hacked. And I'm not even hearing what you say. So now I'm under, because that actually happened a little while ago. I was talking to my husband and he was like, I'm like, hey, could you put your phone down? I'm telling you something. What I'm telling you requires a response. And he went, I've just been hacked. This is a nightmare. And I got that. And I could have told myself that he doesn't care about me. He's not even listening. He's grunting as I speak to him. He could have said, wow, my wife doesn't care. I'm trying to do something. And she's yabbering on in the background, all about her. So you see how we tell ourselves stories. I'm saying he doesn't care. He's saying I don't care. But when you say, hey, I'm really sorry. I'd love to listen. I'm actually being hacked right now and I can't give you any attention. Hey, I'd love to listen. You know, I flew back into America only a month ago and they lost my luggage and I had to go to another terminal and I'm busy. So my husband's like, should I get an Uber? And I'm like, oh, if you want to go home, just get an Uber. But I'm dealing with my missing luggage. And he's like, no, I wasn't saying that. I'm saying it's so hard to get an Uber. Shall I get one now for 10 minutes? And I didn't hear what he was saying. He didn't hear what I was saying. But later I said, look, when I was at that stand, I was telling myself a story. I'm trying to get all my luggage. And my husband, he just wants to go home. And he's like, yeah, but I'm telling myself a story. You might be here for ages and be so nice about a car ready to whisk you home. I know you're upset about your luggage. Let me do the thing I can do. I can't get your luggage. I can get a car ready to take you home. And you see how I didn't hear his story and he didn't hear mine. But later we always sit down and go, oh, well, I had a story. Now it's my story. He goes, well, I had a story. And then we can even laugh about it. He wasn't being hurtful. I was being hurt. I said, listen, if you want to go home, get an Uber, I'm staying here. And so well, I hurt him because I didn't understand where he was coming from. And it's so easy. We all do it. You know, I'm a therapist. I know this stuff. I still hurt my husband going, hey, if you want to go home, you just go. I'm staying here to try and track my luggage. Hurt people, stressed people, lash out, flawed people. And we're all flawed people, have flawed relationships with flawed people. You can always pull it back in. No one is you. You have your own thoughts, your own beliefs, and so does your partner. Take a breath and think about again, oh, when I was trying to get my luggage, I needed my husband to just wait, to just let me have a conversation, not bug me about the Uber. That was my need, but his need was to get a cab so that we could actually leave. We'd been on I think like a 12-hour flight. It was long. He was tired. We both had conflicting needs. It doesn't mean we're not right for each other. It means that I looked at his needs, they weren't mine. He looked at my needs, they weren't his. And that is the best you can do. If you're with someone, they'll never get it right all the time. They won't always understand you unless you tell them, unless you work it out. No one is deliberately hurting you. When someone doesn't call, they're not like, I'm at home, I'm rejecting you, I'm not calling you, I'm deliberately hurting you. They're usually busy. Things happen. We live in a busy, busy world. So you've got to understand. Even the nicest people have odd days and bad days where they don't tune in, they don't prioritize. It doesn't mean they don't care. It means they're having a bad day. Sometimes they can feel so bad about something. You know, I walked into the bathroom and I slithered on the wet floor and I fell. And my husband turned and he said, well, that's not your bathroom, that's my bathroom, which I thought was a bit silly. But, you know, I kind of know now that he felt really bad that you left water all over the floor. He felt bad that I fell. And he just couldn't do that. I feel so bad. It's like, well, why are you in here? You got your own bathroom. Because we have what makes a marriage perfect. We have separate bathrooms. I love that. In fact, I insist on it because he's super messy. I'm very tidy. And I didn't actually need to go in his bathroom. I just did. Like I was looking for something. But I understood, not at the time, but later, that he was a little cross with himself and he was super defensive. And that made perfect sense. Everything will make sense when you stop looking for Mr. or Miss or Mrs. Perfect and realize they're flawed, I'm flawed. If you love someone, you can work it out. Love someone enough to work it out. Love someone enough not to say, if you love me, you will. And if you love me, you'll always. And you don't love him because don't do that. Say, I know you love me. And that's why it bothered me when you didn't apologize for leaving water on the floor and I slipped. I never start with, you don't love me. I go, I know you love me. I know you really love me. And now I'm beginning to understand why you did what you did. So if you can start from, I know you love me. I know you care about me. So my job is to look at why, if I know you love me, why don't I feel loved? Because I'm not letting it in. I'm looking for everything you're doing wrong. You didn't buy me a big enough card. One of my clients, I love this story, every year her husband put the same Christmas card back in the envelope and gave it to her again. And she said, if you recycle that card one more year, I might recycle you, because what are you doing? This is the same card every year. He said, but I'm helping the planet. I love recycling. What's the point of buying you a new one? You know, it's the same message. It's a lovely card. Everything I wrote last year, and in fact 5 years ago, I still mean, I'm giving you the same one with the same message. So he was thinking, that's lovely, I'm saving that. And she's like, wow, you don't even care enough to buy me another card. And I can see his point of view and hers. He's deeply into recycling. She's like, care enough to spend more money, but it wasn't about the money. And so I thought that was quite funny that they were so on the opposite page. And then he said, oh, I see. She said, I'm telling myself a story here. You don't love me enough to buy me a new card. He's like, oh, and I'm telling myself that I love you so much. If I give you the same card every year for 10 years, you'll realize, wow, he loves me just as much in year 10 as he did in year 1. But his story and her story were totally different stories. So stop telling yourself a story. He doesn't love me. She doesn't care. They don't get me. My wife doesn't understand me. Such a classic. Well, your job is to make sure she does understand you. And you have to understand you too. My husband, boyfriend doesn't get me. Well, you got to help them get you. So we express love differently. We categorize love differently. You always, you never. If you loved me, you would. You don't love me because we're different. And you can have an amazing, loving, gorgeous relationship that will last forever. But you've got to sometimes work out that the other person isn't psychic. They're not a clairvoyant. They're not a mind reader. And we all have bad days, bad hours, bad weeks. When you love someone, work it out. Don't give them, you just go, here, meet my needs, any more than you'd expect them to go, here, meet all my needs. That's not possible. And guess what? It's not even necessary. I'm only going to tell you the truth. You are lovable, and love is 100% available to you. But really work out what you need, what you want, and let the other person know. While understanding they were never going to meet all of those needs because they're not you. And you know what? If you fell in love with your mirror image, you'd be so bored. Bored out of your mind. You're not supposed to find someone like you. You're supposed to find someone nothing like you, because that's how you learn and grow. Your partner is your teacher. And they're your teacher. Stop looking for someone like you and look for someone different and have an exciting, compelling relationship where you're always learning and growing. If you would like to rewire your mind for lovability so you can attract a relationship that is perfect for you, just go ahead and click the link below. If you enjoyed that video, check out the next one right here. You can also click the link below right here for your free gift. We have a choice. You can go, I'm in agony, my head is killing me, which is not true. You can go, I've got a headache, it's slightly annoying, but I'm going to take